So today is International Women's Day, and the theme for International Women's Day this year is Choose to Challenge. And my challenge to you is, what will you challenge this year? What will you challenge about gender stereotypes and gender inequality? And I've chosen to share with you one of the women who is my biggest inspiration in my life, because part of International Women's Day is about celebrating women, celebrating their successes. And so before we chat a little bit more about Choose to Challenge, I would like to celebrate my mum. She is the CEO and founder of a charity called Purple Shoots. But I'll let her introduce herself and her charity, because she knows way more about it than I do.
Oh, right. Hi, I'm Karen Davis. I'm the founder and chief executive of a charity called Purple Shoots, which I established about 7 or 8 years ago to tackle poverty and unemployment, which sounds very grand, but it was, I guess I felt God wanted me to do something about the injustice that I saw all around me, with people who were left behind by the economy or struggling to make ends meet, or to people who wanted to change something in their lives but just couldn't make that last step and needed some financial support. So Purple Shoots does two things. It lends money to people to help them start a business, and we lend to people who nobody else will help. So people are usually on benefits when they get a loan from us, not always, but usually, and they're usually stuck behind something like a bad credit score or something that's preventing them from moving on. And the other thing we do is what we call self-reliant groups, which is based on an idea developed in the third world, where communities get together, support each other, save money together, develop our business ideas together, and then support each other to start businesses. So that model we've brought over here. And we start groups of people from different communities or with something shared in common. So we have some groups of people with disabilities, and some groups where everybody's a mum or something like that, where they've got something in common, and then we support them then, but we encourage them to take control of their own lives and to take back the ability to choose where they want to go with their lives. So that might be in the direction of training and moving towards some sort of business or employment, but it might not be. It might be more a community focused thing, or just a group that supports each other. So those groups are largely women at the moment. We are experimenting with trying to get men involved, but women seem to be better at collaborative working, and also they seem to have more time to develop ideas, and maybe sometimes they're under less pressure from the job centres to be applying for jobs, especially if they're women with caring responsibilities of small children or elderly relatives or something like that. So the group's going to be women. The borrowers are split 50-50 women to men, which actually is a very high ratio for a lender. Typically, but it's something like 80 or 90% of business loans go to men. So we're unusual in the very high proportion of women that we support. Self-employment suits women, especially women who've got to fit it in around other responsibilities. A lot of women struggle to get finance from mainstream funders. Often they haven't got a track record in business, or a track record of that you can check financially. Lots of women who have maybe come out of a broken relationship or had difficulties in the past will have a bad credit score, and that will rule them out of any finance, but we will support them.
So as you can gather, my mum has a real passion for these people that she works with, these people that she serves through her charity. And if you want to know more, do get in touch with her or me, or check it out on their website. You can search it, Purple Shoots, easy to find on Google, and they're doing really great work. But she didn't hop straight into owning her own business, straight out of uni, straight into a business. That's not how it worked for her. She's a woman just like me and you. So I've asked her to tell us a little bit about her story and her journey of how she got from her life, she grew up in Surrey, to owning her own business.
So the Purple Shoots I've come to quite late in life, and in a way everything I've done in the past, a lot of it which didn't make me very happy, actually makes sense when I started Purple Shoots. So I went to university, came out of university, worked for a few years in the public sector, but then moved into financial services and worked in the City of London, because that's where I come from originally. And then I got married and we had our first child.
That's me.
And I wanted to be a stay-at-home mum, which was difficult with us living in London because it was expensive, which is how we ended up back in Wales. So I then gave up working all through both children until I had 2 children. The second one, once he'd started school, I then went back to work part-time. So I had about a 7-year gap. Then I went back to work for a small business in South Wales, and that experience was very useful in understanding the difficulties and how small businesses work now. Then I didn't realise that. It was just a job, and it used languages, which was something I was reasonably good at. Then that business got into financial difficulties. I knew I had to find another job, and I found a job that was working for Finance Wales, which is the Welsh Government's development bank. And I wasn't a very good fit there, having been in the private sector for so long. To then come back into the public sector, was not good for me. I wasn't very happy there, and I stuck it for a long time. Actually, looking back now, I don't know why I stayed there as long as I did, except that I learnt a lot about how the Welsh public sector system works, how all their business services works and everything, and it was all great. That plus the small business and the big business experience in London, and the difficulty of being a stay-at-home mum and the sort of financial difficulties associated with that all fit together beautifully in starting Purple Shoots. And I think I began Purple Shoots because I did some extra studies. I'd done economic geography in university, where I'd done a lot of work around social justice and why the rich get richer. I was always very interested in that, but never really used it in my career. And then I did a little course later on in international development management, and I thought then that I would work in overseas aid. But then I realised that God was probably saying, no, look at what's in front of you. And so that was sort of what led me to think about doing Purple Shoots in South Wales, and to try to tackle the issues that I saw right in front of me.
So thanks so much to my mum for sharing that, and thanks for being my mum. She is a real great role model and an inspiration to me. And so I would like to choose to challenge you to not get stuck in a box. You know, step out and try something new. If you feel like God is challenging you to do something different, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how many jobs you've had in the past, you can do it. So challenge yourself. Choose to challenge yourself and your own ambition and your own goals, and see what you can do. Now, I've got a few other friends of mine who would love to share with you what they are choosing to challenge this year for International Women's Day.
Choose to challenge on International Women's Day. The last 12 months have been a challenge, haven't they? Challenge for everybody, not one that we would have chosen neither. But it's been a challenge for the mothers, for the daughters, the sisters, the aunties, the grandmas, the nanas, the godmothers, the doctors, the nurses, the key workers, the teachers, the carers, the cleaners, the post lady, your pastor. It's been a challenge. But I could roll all of those people into one, and that could be a woman in your life. So I challenge you, I choose to challenge you to check on the women in your life. Check on your mothers, your sisters, your daughters, your aunties, your grandmas. Check on them all. Your friends, your sisters in Christ. Just go and check on them on International Women's Day.
This International Women's Day, I am choosing to challenge the stereotypes there are surrounding single mums. A lot of people think that some single parents have had illegitimate children, or it has happened as an accident. Or other people think that single parents are often superheroes and we are amazing and can do everything and anything at the drop of a hat. And this often creates a lot of unnecessary pressure on single parents to live up to this superhero stereotype, or that we have been tarred with a brush, that we are slightly substandard to other mothers. I don't think that this is the case with either. This last year has taught a lot of us that we have to adapt very quickly to changes that we cannot control. And as a single parent, that is exactly what I have done. I found myself in a situation that wasn't planned, that I couldn't control, and I had to adapt very quickly. Otherwise, my little family would perish. So that is what I am choosing to challenge this International Women's Day. And I hope to inspire the next generation to do the same. So in years to come, we will not be having these conversations about stereotypes around single mums.
Hi, I'm Cassie, and I am choosing to challenge today on International Women's Day, and I'm choosing to challenge you on your discrimination of other women and how you treat them. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells us to look after the hungry and the thirsty and the sick and the imprisoned. So I'm choosing to challenge you to go find those women who are different from you, who are in relationships that maybe you don't approve of, who say things or speak in a way that you don't like. And I challenge you to love them, and to love them right where they're at. I run an organisation called AIDS Care Education and Training, and we work with young people and teach them about relationships and sex. So I'm choosing to challenge you guys on your discrimination. Before you start judging people about why they're having sex, why they're in the sex trade, I'm asking you to agree with them. I'm not asking you to change your belief system. I'm just asking you to not discriminate against them. Don't change the way that you behave to people because they think differently to you. Jesus calls you to love these people, love them, get to know them, go out, find someone who's hungry or thirsty or strange or sick or in prison. Find these women and love them. I want to leave you with our team in Zimbabwe who are loving people out of the sex trade and into new skills and businesses so that they can support their families.
I choose to challenge discrimination against women in sex work.